The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Look, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name is Devdas Kovilagat. With me is the Filr product team. Welcome to this webinar. This is the first community webinar for 2018 from Filr side. So today we are going to take an hour to share with you the cool and useful features that we have added in Filr 3.3. So before we begin, a few items on housekeeping. Uh, we are recording this session, so if any of you need to drop off and need to hear the recording, we'll be sharing it later. We also have run into some technical issues with GoToWebinar, where it's not allowing us to have more than 100 attendees, and we have close to 500 registrants for the webinar. So that's the reason why we'll be sharing the recording too. And any questions that you have, you could put it on the chat window. We would be answering those on the chat. If any of you want to speak, you have to unmute your line. I would recommend not to. Just put it on the chat, and then we would be able to take the questions from there. Last but not the least, the presentation also will be shared after the webinar, maybe tomorrow. So yeah, you would have both the recording as well as the presentation. With that, let's get started. The agenda is going to be simple. We are going to focus a bit on the past, on what we have done in the past for Filr 3.x. Then we'll talk about Filr 3.3, and we also would spend some time to discuss on what's coming next for Filr after 3.3. And we'll answer all your questions after we discuss about the future. Before we begin, we just wanted to take a poll on how did you come to know about this webinar, so that we can connect with you a little better next time. So if you could just take a minute to vote on how you came to know about this webinar, that would be very great. That would be very helpful for us. You can vote on the poll. There are 4 options. Just select the option through which you heard about this webinar. Few seconds more and I'll close the poll. Okay. So I think we have pretty good response to this poll. Around 86% of 87 to 90% of you have voted, and most of you are telling me that you came across this particular webinar from the email from Micro Focus, which is good. Okay, with that we'll get started on the actual Filr 3.3 items that we had. So before we begin, we'll take a few minutes to look at what we did on before Filr 3.3 from Filr 3. So as many of you would know, the release that we made, the first release for Filr 3.x line was made in October 2016, where we released Filr 3.3. We rebranded Filr to Micro Focus. We simplified management. We enhanced the sharing capabilities by providing net folder sharing. We also added support for custom branding, also known as the white labeling, and enhancement security and other regulatory requirements were also the features were added to meet these. So the main thing that we did with Filr 3.0, before Filr 3.0, or in fact even with Filr 3.0, we used to ship software like once in a year or once in 1.5 years with a lot of features, a lot of capabilities in one go, which was good. But then for the features that missed getting into the ship, you had to wait for more than a year to get the next wait for the next ship to come in with your features that was of your interest. So what we changed for that was to introduce something called as update channel, using which we decided to ship smaller but frequent releases through the channel. So as a result of which, we were able to ship Filr 3.1 through the update channel, which means you don't have to rip and replace appliance. Instead, you can just install or register to the update channel and then pull in all the features and fixes that we have added. So in 3.1 in February, we added capabilities like file type blocking. We enhanced our integration with Access Manager, and so did we add capabilities to our mobile app. And then in Filr 3.2, which was released in 4 months June, we added support for multi-factor authentication. We added capabilities for, we brought in a plugin for our Outlook users. We also enhanced Filer with respect to security and reporting and added capabilities for the Android app. Right? These are the high-level features that we added in Filer 3.2. So before we get into what's in Filr 3.3, the second of the survey that we have was to find out which version of Filr server are you running. Just wanted to know if you would be on the latest. Would you be on Filr 3.x? Would you be on 2.x or anybody on Filr 1.x? Just take few seconds just to vote on this so that we understand the spread in our customer base. Okay, few more seconds. Okay, so around 85% of you have voted already, and looks like around 42% of you are already on Filr 3.3.x, and around 34% of you are on Filr 3.x, but not yet on Filr 3.3. We still have 10% of you on Filr 2.x, which is understandable. So great. Okay, so those of you who are not currently using Filer, we do have some of you doing that too, not using Filer currently. So we would connect with you and also understand on how we can help you use Filer and use the benefits of using Filer. So that we will do it later offline. But then I'll try to keep it generic so that you also can understand what's new in Filer. So in Filer 3.3, which we released again as an online update via the channel, we released it in December 2017. We added quite a few features, like we added support for zoning, we added support for file request, we added support for a Linux client, we brought in a plugin for Microsoft Office, we added capabilities to easily unshare, and we also continued enhancing the capabilities that we had shipped in past. So let's look at each of these features one after the other. The first of the feature that we added in Filr 3.3 was the zoning feature. So zoning feature was added to ensure that the customers would be able to our customers would be able to have separate, or rather have multiple isolated Filer systems running inside the same Filer server, so that if you have different departments who need to have separate systems for themselves, they could do that. And it also would help to have to kind of ensure that there is better utilization of hardware, software, and resources. It would be easy to manage provision, storage, and quotas, and so on and so forth in a cost-effective way. So it also is going to help our hosting partners, or maybe your partners, your Micro Focus partners, to host Filer for you as a service in case you want to kind of uh, outsource your IT activities to some of your trusted local partners, right? So capabilities that we added with respect to zones was to help create, modify, and delete zones. The zones won't see each other. Apologies. You could customize each zone the way the tenant needs it, like separate DNS, custom branding, LDAP. Each and every setting that you have in the admin console would be separate and can be configured separately for each of the zone. You could set up storage quotas. You could set up watermarks so that you get an email notification when the storage is full. So let me take you through a demo. So here I have my Filer system running right here. This is on my laptop, so it would be a little slow. So as you can see, it is having a DNS name with devadas.filer.com. This is my user admin's user interface. So let's go to the admin console. So with Filer 3.3, and you may notice that I'm running actually Filer 3.3.3, which is the latest patch. But then you would see all what I'm going to show today, even with Filer 3.3. So you could see in the admin console under management, there is a new setting called zones, which when clicked would show you the zone that is already existing. So as you can see, we have an existing zone called test.devadas.filer.com, and it also has details on how much is the storage space used, how much is the quota that's allocated, that is 5 GB out here, as you can see, how much of that has been used, what is the default watermark, and so on and so forth, right? And including the number of users who are logged in the past 30 days. Let's go ahead and create a zone that would make it easy for us to see this on in action. So I'm going to create a zone called zone 1, and I'm going to create uh, a different name, or rather give it a new host name. So I'm going to name it zone1.devadas.filer.com. I'm not going to give unrestricted storage. I may give them, I would give this zone a limit of 1 GB. You can even set it to any number of GBs or TBs that you want. And I'm going to set a high level watermark of maybe say 2%. So that I get notified when the storage is around 2% of the storage is already in use, right? So once I do that, you would see the zone gets created here, so like here, and that's it. The zone is ready to use. So what I would do then is to hit the zone using a new browser here. So let's do that. I would say I would make it zone1 dot, let's say just devadas.filer.com. Let's see what happens. Sorry, I need to put the HTTP here. Yeah, so I'm as you know that I'm using my laptop, so I not put a certificate here, but let's go ahead. So this is how an administrator would administrator of the new zone would see the zone. So first time when he or she is logging in, they will be using the default admin password as you would have used when you logged into Filer, and Filer will prompt you to change the password like what you would see on a freshly installed Filer system. So once you do that, you would notice that the admin console is completely new for this particular zone. It does not have the users that the parent zone had. It only has the default users that this zone had. As an example, let's go back to my original file system on which we have created the zone. So you can see there are 12 users. Apart from the default users, I have created other users also which are visible. But then on the new zone, you can see there are only the default users that we have created. Similarly, you would also see that there is no option to create a zone in this new zone because that's available only in the master zone, the default zone. But then apart from that, you can go ahead and customize whatever you want to customize in the way that you want to customize. Everything is possible. For example, if you don't want any of your users to in this zone to access Filer using the desktop client, you can just go ahead and disable access to Filer from the desktop client, and no user would be able to come out here using desktop client. Similarly, if you want to change the branding, you can do that. Let's try to change it a bit to just give you the gist of it. So let me go ahead and say zone 1. Just put something out here for that so that you can see this in action. Let me give it a blue shade, bold, and the font size is set to say 5, right? When I say this and when I say OK, you can see that it's a new the custom branding has taken into effect right then and there, right? So this is the beauty of zones. It would be as equal to you having set up a new file system, and all the settings, all the users can be imported separately, and none of the users from the zones would be able to see the users from the other zones. So that way it is completely isolated, but then it saves a lot of hardware and other things, right? So that was the zone for you. Again, you can delete the zone and do stuff here, but then as and when the storage is used, you would see the indicator that it is green or it is running out of space and so on and so forth. So that's zone for you. So that was with respect to zoning. I'll take all the questions after we are done with all the demos so that uh, we'll be able to get through all the demos first. So that's on zoning. So hope you are going to find that useful. Maybe your departments or maybe your peer companies may also want to get the goodness of Filer without needing to install Filer from scratch. So you could do that. The next useful and interesting feature that we added was with respect to file request. Now, file request allows your users to request a non-filer user to upload a single file, right? For example, you're working with a partner, your user is working with a partner. So he or she wants just one file to be uploaded by this partner who may not really need to spend time or want to spend time to create an account in Filer if it's just for a single file transfer, right? So what we have done is we have added email notifications and we have added the capabilities to set the expiry date to the upload link so that the link can't be misused or is would expire as soon as either the file gets uploaded for the first time successfully or the expiry date kicks in. And then, as always, we support customize making the email templates customizable. We also have email notifications that I'm going to show you in a minute. So that's with respect to file requests. Now let's go back to our system. So this is our admin console. For you to go ahead to start using file request, as always, we disable all the new features that we add by default so that it does not disrupt any of the existing users. So what you need to do is to go to the share and comment settings under system. So that's here. And you would need to click on the file request option. Just 1 minute, please. Okay. Few questions that I thought I would take. I just have a look at the chat window. So yeah, I forgot to update that the zoning capability is not available for standard edition. It is only available for advanced edition, and so is the file request feature that I'm going to describe now. And as I described, there is a technical issue with GoToMeeting due to which we are not able to get many of our registrants to join us. Uh, I apologize for that. We are trying to see if it can be sorted out, which I'm not very hopeful. But then I would be sharing the link to the recording to everybody who has registered. I really apologize for that. So if any of your colleagues or any of your peers are trying to log in and they are not able to, please let them know the reasons, and also my apologies for that. That's one. So I think those are the questions that we have at this point of time. So let me take you through the file request, and then we'll take the questions on file request. So as I said, for you to enable as an admin the file request capability, you would need to go to the share and comment settings out here as I am showing, and then click on this checkbox which talks about allowing users to request for files. By default it's disabled. I'm going to click on that checkbox and say OK. And once I do that, let me now log in as a separate user, not as the admins, so that I can show you how this works. So let's open the same server and let's log in as a separate user, non-admin user, to see it in action. Okay, apologies for the warnings. Okay, I'm going to log in as a user which is already existing there, so that if I go back to the admin console, you would see I have a few users I have created out here. One of the user is Devadas, that's here. So I'm going to log in as Devadas here into the same box, and as a user Devadas, I have in my files I have two directories. I've created a directory called incoming, and in the incoming there are no files at this point of time, but then in the folder called reports I have few files already uploaded which we'll use later. But then let's go to incoming and let's request for a file. Now I want to request, say, user 100 to upload a particular file. So I'm going to click on the file request button that that's out here, as you would have just noticed here. Just write to the add files. After doing that, I'm just going to paste the email ID of this particular user. So just the email ID, no file or account, nothing. And when I press enter, I have this option to add one or more recipients, and then I can even put a note. Say I'll put this note. Interest of time, I'll just copy paste it. So I'm going to request for request user 100 to upload the air tickets that we had discussed a few minutes back. And by default, the expiry is set to 30 days for the link, or that's the maximum days the link would remain active for upload. But then one successful upload, the link is going to expire. So I'm going to set it to say 14 days, 15 days, and I'm just going to click on the OK button, which actually is going to give me a confirmation that the file request was successfully sent. I would say OK, and as a user, let's see what happens to user 100. So user 100's mailbox is out here. As you can see, user 100 has got a mail which has the comment that I have put saying please share their tickets up by uploading it here. It is from me, the user, the file user. The name also is out here. So I have a link here which I'm going to click. I'm going to click on this link to upload the file, and I see it's a very simple window wherein I have a button to add files. So I'm going to click on add files, and let's go and grab the air ticket file that would be here. So here is the air ticket. So I'm going to upload. So I've selected that. I've see the file name here, and then when I say upload, it shows the status as well as it shows that the file has been uploaded successfully, right? Now let's close this for a minute and try reusing the link which was on the mail. If I do that, I'm going to get a message saying this file upload link has expired, which means it's just one time use. You can't keep on updating or uploading or changing the file that you have the submitter has uploaded. But then let's see, now that the upload has happened, let's see if we are going to get a notification that the user has uploaded the file. So this was the user who had requested Devdas @Synology. So if you go to the inbox, there is the notification from filer which says that so and so has uploaded the requested file, right? That's why I don't have to keep on going and checking for the file every time. I get a notification from filer that so and so file was uploaded at so and so place. So that's the beauty of this feature. So let's go back and see if the file which was supposed to be there is there. Let's go to the window for the user. So we were here, and there's a file. So you can see that the file that user 100 has uploaded has been renamed as with the username, user's email address, and appended with the actual file name, which I could now use it, right? So that's the file request feature. I'm sure we already are getting a lot of interest on this feature. This also is available only with Filer Advanced. So if you're on a Filer standard server, you would not be able to use it. Also note that currently we have enabled this feature only for my files or the ad hoc storage. We are in the process of getting this made available to the home folders also, users home folders also. In future we'll consider to open it up for the net folders, but then we thought we'll start small and then expand on that. So that's the file request feature. Before we go further, let me just see if there are any questions here. The few questions with respect to file request that I can take it up right now. As one of our attendee noted, yeah, this currently works on personal storage. We'll make it available for home folder by Filer 3.4 and consider to have it open for net folders after that. So that's the timeline. There was also a question on whether we can upload folders like this. No, currently no, but then you can zip the folder and upload. We plan to add folder upload capabilities in Filer 4.0 timeframe. So at that time, we can consider extending this feature for folders also. Can multiple files be uploaded? No, it can just be one file. And if you want to upload multiple files, you have to zip it and then upload it, because we wanted this feature to be used by partners or customers, or users who wanted to get just one file from one external entity. If it is going to be a more prolonged transaction, then we would highly recommend you to request the user or share the folder as you normally do, so that the external user can create an account for himself or herself and keep on updating and uploading files, right? Okay, so that's the top questions that we had on file uh, upload capability, file request capability. Based on the ideas portal, where the maximum number of votes till we release Filr 3.3 was for Linux client, we have added a technical preview version of the Linux client uh, for our users. So this provides an alternative for customers who are moving away from Microsoft. So that's one of the reasons why we did this. Just note that it has it is the native client experience for all Linux users. uh, you can access and sync all your files via Linux client. Please note that currently it is available only for OpenSUSE and SLES, but then we already have started working on support for Ubuntu. In future, we'll add support for Debian, so that's underway. It's a full sync client. It's not a files on demand client like what we have on Windows and Mac today. It is a full sync client, so you have capabilities to decide which folders gets downloaded and synced, right? So what we're going to do, in the interest of time, I'm just going to run the video that we have for this and explain how it works, right? Okay, so here you would see that, let me first maximize this thing. Yeah, first what you need to do is to log in into the Filer system, or rather your users would need to log in and then go ahead and download the desktop client. As you can see, it's available in the download Filer desktop app menu bar, and then you would see the Linux client logo there. So just click on that and it would download a tar.bz2 file, which when downloaded you could just go and open it up in your on your Linux system, uh, and then you can unzip it and get started. Just going to open a terminal so that we unzip it, right? Yeah, just to ensure that you're able to see the font. Yep, so we are going to unzip this, and that's going to get all the RPMs downloaded, the end user license agreement, and the needed commands. So please kind of change to the Filer Linux client directory, and notice that there is a shell script out there which needs to be run as admin for us to install this client. You can see all the help, all the options that you have when you press the slash hyphen help option. So there is an option to install, uninstall, upgrade, find the version, see this help, and verbose. So what we're going to do is to install it uh, on this. As soon as you hit install, you would see the end user license agreement that you can browse through by pressing any key, and then you need to enter one if you agree to the license agreement. And that's what you can see here. Once that is done, you would see it getting installed. I think my taskbar is kind of blocking a bit of view here, but then you can see the progress. And once it is done, it is going to show you what needs to be done. So you need to re-log in to the Linux workstation for the client to really start working, because it's tightly integrated with the context menu of the Genome. So what we're going to do is to re-log in, and so we have logged off and we are re-logging into the Linux box. Once you do that, it's going to automatically launch the Filer client. As you can see, it's a GUI client wherein you can put in the username, the Filer username, the URL, the password, and the server URL. And once you do that, you would see that you have options to all options that you normally see on a Filer desktop client. Additionally, the option to decide which folders you want to sync into this desktop. So yeah, all the pending changes, recent activities, and system alerts that you would see on a Windows or a Mac client would be available here. So there are multiple ways to launch. That's what we're going to show now. So you can go to the favorites and then you can click on the Filer shortcut out there. That's also going to launch Filer if you need it that way. You can also launch it using the Explorer, wherein you can search and then launch Filer out here. You can also, okay, let's give it a minute. You can see that this would be listed out here. You can also launch it from the terminal. So just open the terminal and you can run the script. Oh, sorry, there was one more way, or to show the Filer folder out here. So you can see that it's currently empty once you install. So nothing gets downloaded by default. But you can also launch it using the terminal by just going to, or rather, just running the Filer client command. If the Filer is already running, it will show you an error, and you can restart if you want. So we do check that, and after we restart, it's again going to prompt you for the username, which we're going to enter right now. And once we do that, we are going to see that the tray icon is active, and you can launch the Filer desktop console from there. So go to the folders to sync option and go ahead and select the files and rather folders or subfolders that you want to sync. For example, in this case, we are going to sync inside my files a folder called F1, and if we press apply, we would see that the folder and all the files and subfolders under it gets downloaded and synced to the Filer area inside the slush box. You can also see the overlay icons, which shows that all the files are now available offline or are available on the local hard disk also. Any changes to the web client that we're going to do here would also be seen here, would get reflected automatically. So on the right side you see the web client, on the left side you see the Filer desktop client. As you can see, only the folder F1 has been synced into this client, and if you go and make some changes, you would see that the same is reflected vice versa in both places, right? So we're going to make few changes here. We're going to delete that, and we're just going to say hello, and we are going to save this file, which is going to ensure that the changes, and as you can see, the overlay icon has turned green again. So just go to your web client and try to open the file, and it would automatically be updated with whatever we have put in from the Linux client. So sync works seamlessly. This applies to all the folders and files that has been configured to be synced, and you can also synchronize if it's a large file and you want to have it synchronized right then and there. You can do that. You can even launch the web browser by right clicking on the context menu. As you see, we don't have all the context options, but then double clicking the file also will open the file from the Linux desktop, and then you can do whatever you want to do with the file out here. And by launching the web browser, you would directly reach to the file from the Linux client. So you can create a new folder, or you can go back and do whatever operations you want to do in your in this place. You can add more if you want. You can add a new net folder, subfolder. So for example, there's a particular net folder that if you want to sync down, you can do that, and once you do that and hit apply, the whole folder is going to be synchronized and brought down, right? So pretty neat and powerful for your sync and access. Uh, what we sorry to just complete that part, you can see that the net folder subnet folder inside that has been completely synced. One thing that you may want to note that we don't have the share, the commenting, and other capabilities in this client, but that's as planned. We plan to start with the basic scope and then extend it based on the interest, right? So that's Linux client for you. And just to ensure that you know the capabilities that we support, so we do support the client registrations and wipe, remote wipe capabilities, so that the admin would see the Linux devices registered or logged in Linux devices the way they would see the mobiles and the Windows and Mac devices. We support file type blocking. We support advanced authentication based multi-factor authentication. We also allow the clients would work fine even if file server is front-ended by NetIQ Access Manager. The file upload limits and user quotas and other things would be honored. So that's what the features that currently are at par with respect to the other desktop clients. What is currently not supported is the ability to custom brand the the Linux desktop client. The balloon notification, the process blocking, and sharing and commenting are currently not in. We plan to bring it in the future based on your interest. So that's Linux client. What we also plan to do in future is to bring in support for Ubuntu and Debian clients, because that's from our survey we found that after SUSE, the most used Linux platform by our customers has been Ubuntu. So we are currently working on that. After we go through all the features we added in 3.3, I'll take you through what we are planning to do for 3.4, and there I would discuss a bit more about our plans, right? Right. Yes. There were a few questions with respect to Linux client. Yes, the client works seamlessly well with OpenSUSE also. So in case you are not on SLES, you're not using SLED rather, the desktop SUSE Enterprise desktop, you can use it on OpenSUSE. It works perfectly well. WebDAV, an alternative to the client, still supported. Yes, WebDAV has been uh, the fallback or the plan B for our customers till we brought in the Linux client. But then I strongly recommend, in case if your need was just to sync and access, I think with Linux client for Linux users, you should start using the Linux client instead of the WebDAV, because Linux client that we have come up with is far more faster and much more easier to use when compared to WebDAV. Right. Okay, so that was on Linux client. Let's get to the next feature that we have. That is the Microsoft Office plugin. So the inspiration behind this also was based on the ideas that you have put in and voted. So this is for users who mostly work with Office documents from Office applications, Microsoft Office applications and documents. So we didn't want users to really need to install and use the Filr desktop client in case they were mostly using the Office suite. So what we have done is we have provided ability to open existing Filr Office files, or rather Office files which are already stored in Filr without needing to download and sync. We also allow abilities to save existing or new files which are not in Filr into Filr. You can share files to other users from this plugin, and it also is currently limited to my files. We plan to extend it to home folders and net folders in near future. Note that I missed calling this out. Apart from zoning and file request, all other features are available for standard edition also. So Linux client as well as the Office plugin is available to uh, the customers who are currently running on Filer standard. Let me take you through a quick demo for this. So uh, uh, you need to go to the setting called Office and Outlook setting inside the admin console, and by default everything is disabled, new feature. So you will have to go and enable this plugin or this capability by clicking on the checkbox next to enable Filer Office plugin setting inside the Office and Outlook setting. Uh, it is independent of the Outlook plugin. So if you're on standard, you would not need to do anything apart from just enabling the Office plugin. So once you do that, you can just click on apply, and that would open up the plugin for the end users. And as an end user, again, you can go and get the plugin by clicking on the download, the client download side, and you would see a single plugin for the Office and Outlook, which when clicked is going to download and install, and double clicking the MSI is going to install the plugin. So I'm not going to spend time on that. I already have, let's launch. I already installed it. So let me launch my MS Word, the Microsoft Word Office application, and let me just open up a blank document out here. So as I have already installed the Filer plugin, you can see it in the as a separate tab out here called Micro Focus Filer. I can go to the settings. As I had already logged in, I see it as logged in, so I logged out. You can just put in the username, the password, and the URL, server URL to which you want to connect to, Filer server URL. You can have the option to save the password also. So once I log in, I can actually open a file which is already existing, an Office file. For example, I've created this an existing file called testreport.docx. I can just open it and I can make changes to this. So let's add a few lines. This, and if I go and just go ahead and save it by Control S or the save button, this file will automatically be uploaded back to server. So I can close this, and I can close the application if I need to. And if I go go back to my files in the reports folder, that's where we open this file from. I can see that the file that I changed using the plugin, or rather let's just do a HTML rendering of this. So as you can see, this line has been added here, right? So that's the ease with which the users would be able to use the Office plugin. So it is not just to open the existing files. You can in fact add a new file. So test2. You can do this by saving it, and you can go to the place in file where you want to upload it. So for example, if I want to upload a new file called report2, which is a new file into file, I can do it directly from here. The same would be listed in the files would get uploaded and be available for access. Apart from opening and or rather opening and saving, we also have options to share the file. So if you really want to share this with let's say test users, if you really want to share this with another user, you can do that. Like the native experience of sharing is available here as a viewer. Do you want to share it as a viewer or an editor? When should the file expire, and so on and so forth, right? So this is pretty useful for the users who really are mostly working using the Office document. Okay, so that's, I'm ripping through this because I know I'm running out of time, but then hope you got the gist of what this is capable of. Let me just have a quick look if there are any questions. So okay, so we have few questions. Any chance to use LibreOffice? No, this is a plugin for Microsoft Office, not LibreOffice. We currently don't have plans to support LibreOffice plugin out here. What versions of Office are supported? We support Office 2013 and 2016, the on-prem version. The plugin requires admin rights. Yes, I believe so. What else do we have? Okay, let me see. There are a few questions. Yeah, net folder, home folder. No, at this point of time, this does not work with net folders and home folders. But as we discussed on the file request, we plan to extend this very soon for home folders to start with, and then later this would be for the net folders also. There's a question on whether Office plugins works for the Office on Mac. No, this is limited to the Windows Office. That's from our survey from the Ideas Portal voters. We found that most of you are using the Office applications on Windows, and that's why we started off with the Office plugin for Windows. So based on the interest, go ahead and vote for the idea for having this on Mac. based on the interest, we can consider doing that too. Single sign-on is not yet in case you had a desktop client or a web client. The single sign-on between the plugin and the clients don't work. We plan to have that also enhanced in future. Okay, so that's the bulk of the features that we have added, the main features that we have added. Apart from that, we also have added options to easily unshare from the web and mobile clients. For example, if you had shared files, say if I had shared this file with a lot of users, currently I had to go and then click on the share dialog and remove it one after the other. So let me add few users here. Sorry, just two. And then we have Sachi. So we have shared this. So for example, I just shared this file with three users. So before 3.3, prior to 3.3, if you had to unshare, you had to go to the share dialog again and select each of them and delete it. So you had to go to the share dialog. So what we have brought in based on the request is the ability to just click on the file like this file and just say unshare. That's going to revoke all the existing shares for this particular file. So easy way in case you have shared a particular file or some other files with a lot of users, right? So that's the file unshare option. We also have enhanced the Outlook plugin that we introduced in Filr 3.2 for the advanced edition. So it is multi-threaded and is much more sleek now. So in case you have not got a chance to play around with it, please do. In case you have, please update the Outlook plugin to the one that we have shipped, the version that we have shipped in Filr 3.3 or 3.3.3. We also have added supports to support to have the online updates done via proxy. So that would kick in only after Filr 3.3, but then that's now in. We also have added ability to take photos from mobile app, which will directly be uploaded to Filr area. We added support for Mac 10.13, iOS latest version, as well as Windows 10 updates, and we continue to enhance the scale, security, and performance as always. How do you update in case 40% of 40 to 50% of you who are not yet on Filr 3.3? Uh, before I share that, the last poll for today is to this is the last poll. So to understand how many of you already are using the update channel that we have shared with Filr 3.0. Could you just take the poll and let us know if you have already registered and using the update channel, uh, or if you didn't know about the update channel, or if you have faced any technical difficulties, maybe you not got the registration keys or you could not register, is the reason why you are not using the channel, or if you have not found time yet to update and register, please you could vote for that too. So we have got around 60% of you voting. I would be really grateful in case all of you vote so that it gives us an understanding on what can be done for this. How can we improve this, right? Few more seconds and I'm going to close this poll. So take few more seconds to complete participate in this poll. I think around 77 to 80% of you have already registered and using this update channel for updating, which is great, which is awesome. Around 13% to 15% of you were never not aware that this existed. So I'll reach out to some of you in case you need any help uh, to do this. We have a fantastic blog which describes how to do this. So that also would help you. Okay, I'm going to close this poll. That was the last of the polls that we had. But the easiest way to do that would be to register to the online update using the Filer appliance page. That is the 9.4. Sorry, we had. Okay, I was running some security checks, so this is broken. So just go to the 9443 port, and you would be able to see this. There's an option called online update. Just click on that and you would be able to register to the channel. You can get updates via the Micro Focus customer center portal, or you can set up your own SMT server through which all the Filer appliances can pull in the updates, so that each of them need not actually pull in all the updates individually. So there's a wonderful blog that one of our teammates have written for this. You can find it at the Cool Solutions page. I'll share the link as I share the slide. You have the link to that blog where she describes on how this can be done on in a detailed way. So please do that. So for those of you who have not updated to Filr 3.3, you would see in the needed patch category, and this is the portal through which you get to see all the patches that are available and installed. If you select the needed patches, you would see that you have Filr 3.3.0, you have Filr 3.3.1, 3.3.2, and 3.3.3 updates. Once you go ahead and click on the Update Now button that you would see right in on top of the needed patches drop down, you would see that after the patches are installed, all these patches would get installed, would be listed under the installed patches, like what you have here, right? So that's that easy. It takes a bit of time to pull in all the RPMs from MCC or SMT, but then you don't need to do anything. You don't need to rip up a new appliance and then get the update. So it's pretty easy. So that's on what we have done in Filr 3.3. I'll take a quick look at some of the questions that have come in, uh, just to see if there are anything new. Uh, what are the internal external users from Aranda? I think that's to do with the user part. I'll explain that maybe over a mail. We also had some questions uh, on if it works on any other Linux platform. I think I described that Ubuntu and Debian is what would be supported next in File maybe 3.4, which I'm going to get in. Yes, I'm recording this webinar, and this would be shared with all the registrants, so that way you can share it with your peers who could not make it to the conference, to this webinar today. So let's take a quick look at what's coming next with File after Filr 3.3. So the next release that we're going to make would be Filr 3.4. We may have some minor releases based on the security vulnerabilities that gets reported or discovered in the field, but then the current plan is to release Filr 3.4. And as you may have noticed, all what we're going to do for Filr 3.4 is taken from the ideas portal. All your votes and ideas is what we're going to do. We have capabilities like be notified if somebody opens a file that I have shared with them, right? Also be able to change the default share expiration date from never to something else. The admin can set it to maybe 30 days, something that we're going to work on. We're also enhancing our mobile apps. We are aggressively working to support the long paths for Windows to remove the limitation that we have. We also are going to enhance the Outlook plugin so that for users who don't want to really authenticate after they get the link from Outlook, can also do that. So that's going to be a configurable option for the admin. And we also are going to enhance the option to have the Filr web client work in the using the locale of the web browser, so that if you have users spread across different locales or geographies, they would be able to benefit. So just to show you, give you a sneak peek into what we are planning. So we have started working on some of them. Some of them may not make it, but we plan to do build as many of what's listed here. But all of these are coming from the Ideas portal, nowhere else. So highly recommended for you to use the Ideas portal, vote and add ideas there. We actively look at it. So that's Filr 3.4 for you. With this, we are done with all what we had. Uh, I'm sure there are questions in the chat. I will also give you a sneak peek into what next, so you can get more information about Filr for customers who are new to Filr. You can download the evaluation version. You can get more details on the product homepage, as well as you can know who are the main other customers who are using it. Documentation, link to Ideas portal, and for those of you who are partners, you can get resources from the partners portal. So Ideas portal, as I said, is crucial for us. We heavily look at it. So please go ahead and search for ideas, put ideas, vote on others' idea. That really helps us to prioritize the capabilities that we need to add. We also highly recommend you to not disable the product improvement capability that we have in Filr, which helps us understand on how Filr is being used. It's completely anonymous. We don't get to see who is sending that report. It's optional, but it helps us to improve our testing. So from these reports, we get to see that there are customers who have around 100K users imported into their Filr system. So that ensures that we pass that information to our testing team, who would then be able to test the boundaries from these reports, right? So please help us to help you by not disabling it, by participating in the product improvement capability that we have. Completely anonymous, no IP address, no way we can find out who you are, where you are from, right? And you can also see the information that we collect by clicking on the hyperlink right in that uh, feature setting, so that you can be satisfied on what is being shared. Most important, please stay up to date. It is super easy with update channel. Around 75% of you are already registered and updating is the update channel. I highly recommend others also to do it. This also helps you to get the new features for the money that you're paying to Micro Focus. You also get security protection against the security vulnerabilities which are getting reported much more frequently now. And we are very active to share the patches for ensuring that you're protected. So please stay up to date. And it also helps, for example, if all of you are on Filr 3.3, which is the latest patch, it helps the product team to focus on uh, resolving the issues that you may find on 3.3.3 and spending all the energy on building Filr 3.4 and Filr 4 that we are currently starting to work on. But if few of you are still on Filr 1.x, Filr 2.x, Filr 3.0, that means our attention and energy is spread thin on all supporting all these platforms. Though as per lifecycle, we'll continue to support Filr 2, but then it is going to really help you more if you can stay up to date and register and update using the channel, which is super easy because your peers are also doing it, right? Community webinars like today's, we are planning to continue having them. It could be focused on one of the areas that you may be interested in. So we'll keep you posted on that. And you can also watch the recording of the old the webinars that we did in 2017. For example, if you want to register with online update, there's a wonderful webinar that we did in 2017 that's going to help all of you who are not yet on Filer update channel, right? Also have a look at the blogs where we provide pretty good useful capabilities. For example, one of our partners from Germany, he was not happy that we were not supporting the we are only supporting SMT. He wanted to have his file systems up to date, kept up to date using SUSE Manager. So he played around with it. He came up with a way and he has put it in a blog. So that's a wonderful way to share the goodness among the community. So feel free to go through the blogs. In case you're interested in writing something cool for the community, please reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to help you on that. Product page with a ton of information is out here. And yes, you have all these details now. I know I am right on the clock. I'll just have a sneak peek into if there are uh, any burning questions on the chat. So those of you whose question we could not answer today. I promise you that I'll get back to you over the mail and answer your questions. Uh, I think we have covered most of the questions that we have here. So once again, I apologize for the issue that we ran into with the GoToWebinar, wherein we could not accommodate more than 100 participants, though we had close to 500 registrants. So please spread the word. Please apologize on my behalf to your peers. We would be sharing the recording to everybody who has registered. But then I really apologize for this thing. We'll ensure that we don't get into such a situation in future. With that, I will not take more of your time. We really appreciate Shivaji and Sachi, who have been really helpful to get this presentation and demo set up. I also appreciate all of you for staying back late in the evening for the European customers and also joining us early for the US customers and waking up at midnight for our Asia Pacific customers to have joined this. Thank you very much. Appreciate your support. We'll share the slides and the recording in a couple of days. Have a good evening, a good afternoon, and a good morning. Thank you very much.